It is versus time here at Techno Buffalo, and for this battle, we've got the two kings of Android, and I'm ready to piss off 50% of you. In one corner, we've got the latest from Samsung. This is the Note 8. In the other, the latest from Google. This is the Pixel 2 XL. On paper and objective tests, these two sit atop the Android throne. I'm sorry for you V30 or P10 fans out there. These are the two phones to beat. It is 2018, so you change up the categories a little bit. We've got 6 categories to pick a winner. And like all of our verses, it will not be a cop-out, whatever's best for you type answer. We're gonna declare a winner. So to round out our 6 categories, the first is hardware. This is now including the build and specs of the device. We've got camera, display, software, battery, and intangibles. So our first category is hardware. This used to be build in previous verses, but now we're encompassing everything inside and outside of the phone. So on paper, these phones are extremely similar. The US version of the Galaxy Note 8, which we're talking about, is the Snapdragon 835. The RAM story is a bit different. The Note 8's got 6 as opposed to the 4 in the Pixel 2 XL. I have not had any sort of slowdown at all with the Note 8. In fact, performance has been incredibly fast, and things that are usually pretty intensive, things like multitasking, no issue with that whatsoever. Really intense gaming, no issues. I have had no OS slowdown, I've had no OS stutters, and no OS issues. So if you had issues with other Samsung phones in the past, leave that aside. The Note 8 is incredibly quick. For the build side of things, aesthetically, this might be one of the most beautiful phones ever made, in my opinion. I love the way this phone looks. I love the way this phone feels. The glass on the back certainly makes it fragile, but from a purely aesthetic standpoint, the Note 8 is a work of art. So we'll talk later at length, I promise, about the display, but the infinity display on the phone rounds out the way the phone looks and feels. I love the curve and how it sits in the hand. And on the negative side, I've talked long and hard so I was red in the face about the stupid location of the fingerprint sensor. I don't care if you use a case or it's fine for you. I'm the one making this video, and for me, that's a stupid location. I wish they put it somewhere else, which we'll probably see in the upcoming Galaxy S9. So yeah, so the story for the Note, it's fast, it's beautiful, and it's really quick. But it's not to be necessarily outdone by what the Pixel 2 XL brings to the table. And you'd think just because it's got 2 gigs of RAM less, it's gonna be slower. Not the case. It's amazing what can happen when software and hardware, at least for the most part, get vertically integrated. This phone is a beast. On the design standpoint, the Pixel 2 is a nice phone. It's a goodish looking phone. It's got bigger bezels than we've seen on late 2017, I guess now 2018 standards, but you do have front-facing speakers, which are nice. The screen is still pretty good. So the two-tone look of the Pixel is not for everybody's taste. I like the metal feel. I like the way the metal complements the glass, at least aesthetically on the device. I've said it quite a bit in other videos. I do not like the ridge that comes around the side of the screen. My finger hits it. I prefer the infinity edge that I've got on the Note. It's a functionally designed phone. It is function over form here. That's what Google's known for. This phone's not gonna win any design awards. It might win awards later on, but when it comes to design, it's certainly not gonna take the cake from the gorgeous things that we've got from Samsung. And on the positive side, they put the fingerprint sensor where fingerprint sensors belong, not next to the camera sensor where you can reach it without having to turn your phone around. So hats off to you, Google, for actually doing what you should do with the fingerprint sensor. In all honesty, this is probably the hardest category that I've had to pick a winner. And that was a theme that came throughout all these categories. But I'm not gonna cop out and say anything a tie. For me, one of the best features about the Note 8 that I use all the time, and that is the S Pen. Having that option to use the S Pen, being able to plug in headphones, listen to music, are things that I have used that give the Note 8 a slight, but albeit an edge over the Pixel 2 XL. Samsung takes this round. So next, let's jump into camera. And I want to say these are 2 of the best smartphone cameras on the market. It's hard to take bad pictures with either of these, but there are some determining factors that make one of them better. Let's start with what we've got from Samsung and the Note 8. Just in case you can't recite phone specs from the top of your head, here's what the Galaxy Note 8 is packing. So it's a 12 megapixel dual pixel sensor, f1.7 aperture, and 2x optical zoom, and dual OIS. So portrait shots are all the rage on smartphones. It's no exception that it's in the Note 8, and it takes incredible portrait shots. I love that you can do the focusing afterwards. It's really easy to bokeh and blur out the background. Incredible job on portrait. Things in low light, things in high light. Any picture that I take with the cameras just tend to look good. Perhaps by some taste, a little bit saturated. I like the poppy colors. You can adjust it in settings, but I really like what Samsung's done out of the box with their cameras. And the front sensor's no slouch either. It's got smart autofocus, 8 megapixels, and it takes really good selfies. And I admit it, I take probably more selfies than I should, and oftentimes I find myself reaching for the Note 8. The moral with the Note 8 is it's hard to take bad pictures. In fact, you gotta be a really crappy photographer to take anything that's bad in any sort of light. And that's a theme that holds true with the Pixel as well. And just looking at a spec sheet, you think this would be a blowout because, you know, one sensor versus two. But damn, Google did a great job this time around. Anything I threw at the Pixel 2 XL just took good pictures, and that's true with the Note 8 as well. Where I became really impressed with what the Pixel 2 XL could do was in its portrait modes. It uses machine learning and neural networking to get better, to recognize what a person is, to recognize hair, to recognize the area between fingers so you don't get strange Spider-Man webbings, and I think that's where the Pixel 2 XL starts to shine. While the Note 8 is awesome as is, the Pixel 2 XL is going to be getting better, and I've already seen it get better over the 2-ish months that I've been using it. Yeah, it's not perfect. I wish the 4K wasn't capped at 30 frames per second, but I can overlook all those things for an incredible rear-facing camera, an incredible front-facing camera with portrait mode. If I had to pick a device just based on camera, in fact, if I had to pick any phone in the entire world based just on camera, it'd be hard-pressed to find one better than the Pixel 2 XL. And that's saying something because the Samsung's really good, but the 2 XL is definitely taking this round. All right, so next let's go to display, and I'm not gonna belabor this point much longer than it needs to. We've told a lot of stories. I made a whole video about how the display on the Pixel 2 is not as bad as everybody says, and it's really not. Especially after the November update, it looks a lot better. You can still get the saturated colors that people tend to like, and it's a fine display in its own right. When you compare it against the best display that I think has ever been on a phone, the 6.3-inch display on the Samsung Note 8 is incredible. Pictures look incredible, the black glows are incredibly black, obviously the colors are extremely vibrant. I say this a lot, it looks like there's a sticker on this display. I've had this phone for now a better part of 3.5, almost 4 months, and I'm still impressed with how good the screen looks. Even in direct sunlight, you just cannot beat the screen on the Note 8. I'm gonna short this category a little bit because it's not necessary. You should have seen this one coming from a mile away. Samsung's clearly taken the display category. All right, so next let's jump into software. This is a new category for us, one we reserve when we're comparing two phones running the same operating system. And at least on paper, they're the same operating system. They're both running Android, albeit aesthetically very different takes on what Google's OS can offer. So I've knocked Samsung on the past for their take on Android, TouchWiz, modern UI, whatever you want to call it. It's gotten way better, but they're still fighting that stigma from the Galaxy S5 and earlier when they threw everything at the kitchen sink at a Samsung phone. If you haven't used a modern Samsung phone, if you haven't used a device since the S7, you are missing out. It's gotten a lot better. And maybe it's sacrilegious to say this. Maybe I'm going to be screamed at by the Android purists, but there's a lot of things that Samsung does on their version of Android that I like better than what Google does on stock OS. I like the setting menu, I like the dialer, I like how gestures are integrated, I like how it handles multitasking and app pairing. There's a lot of really good things inside of the Note 8. There are some annoyances though with what Samsung's done. Having duplicate apps versus Google stock apps are super annoying. I don't like to do a separate Samsung only app store. Super annoying. But I guess they can be hidden, I suppose. But I think one of the biggest compliments I can give to the modern Samsung skin, fork of Android, whatever you want to call it, is that when I use a Samsung device, I'm not putting a third-party launcher on it, which is not something I can say for many phones. They've done a really nice job here utilizing what their phone can do and taking advantage of all the features and sensors that are built into it. And the moral of this section here is don't knock the Samsung skin until you've tried it. On the negative side though, Samsung is notoriously slow for software updates. So assume the version of Android you get when you buy the Samsung phone is pretty much what you're gonna have for a super long time. Oreo's been out for a while. We're still stuck on Nougat. I wish Samsung was faster with the OS updates. I get that it takes time, but it's frustrating when devices like the Pixel get updates much faster, which brings me to the 2XL. So this is pure Android as Google intended, or I guess now it's pure Android as Google intended on the Pixels. And I know a lot of Android purists hold the Pixel and the previous Nexus line up to this huge esteem for what Android flagships phones should be, and to say anything negative about it is completely sacrilegious, but There's some things that I don't like about this, and I'm just gonna say it. I don't like the weather widget at the top. I wish I could change it, resize it, remove it altogether. I don't like the search bar at the bottom. For my eye and my aesthetic, that belongs at the top, and maybe I'm just not used to it. I wish I could change it, I wish I could tweak that. But Google doesn't let you. It's kind of strange they took a bit of an Apple-ish approach to telling you how things should look on their phones. And obviously I know third-party launchers can fix that. I'm talking about the experience just out of the box. So having said that, I really like our latest version of Android. The most up-to-date, the most secure, the latest that Google has to offer. I know I am always going to have on my Pixel device, and that's a peace of mind that you don't get with something like Samsung. And quite honestly, I just enjoy the experience. It's fast. Everything about this phone just feels screamingly quick. I like the way that things work together. I like how Google's services are presented the way they were meant to be. This was tougher to call than I expected, but a slight edge this round is going to Google and the Pixel 2 XL. But credit to Samsung for making an incredible UI. Alright, so next, let's jump to battery. In previous Versus videos, I've just told you my use case and which one lasted longer. But it's a new year, and we want a new test to see which battery is actually better and going to last you longer. So here's what we did. So we took both phones, the Note with its 3300 mAh battery and the Pixel XL with its slightly bigger 3520 mAh battery, and we drained them to zero, which is harder than you'd think. And we used the inbox accessories to charge these phones up and see which ones charge faster. So after 1 hour, the Note 8 was at 59% and the Pixel 2 was at 62%. So we wanted to try and drain the phones. We charged them up to 100%, we turned max brightness on, we closed all apps, we kicked on airplane mode but kept Wi-Fi working, and we streamed the same 3-hour YouTube clip. And this is where things got interesting. They were exactly the same. After 8.5 hours, both phones died. So those tests were surprisingly close. We gave this category a slight edge, and I'll admit it, I'm aware of the irony of giving a battery category to the Note. This one goes to Samsung by virtue of doing more with less milliamp hours. Last but not least, let's jump into intangibles. All the little things that come together to make the phone an awesome package, and both of these bring a really long list of intangibles. On the Note side, you've got things like the S Pen, wireless charging, Samsung Pay, which is different than Android Pay, IP68, expandable storage, you've got a headphone jack, a lot of little things that make this an incredible device to use and to hold. The Pixel 2 XL brings a ton of awesome things to the table, and I can't overstate this enough. One of the things it brings is a fingerprint reader in a really nice to use location, but aside from that, you're getting incredible speakers. You're getting the latest updates from Google. You're getting stock Android, which is important to a lot of folks, and of course, Android Pay is built into this. Of course, you're missing some things you get with other phones like expandable storage. That's been oddly a staple of the Pixel line and Nexus line before that. And the headphone jack is gone. We look at the laundry lists of extra features that phones bring to the table. The Note 8 is taking intangibles. So now that I've got you foaming at the mouth, either with happiness because you are super pissed off, let's recap and declare our winner of this Versus. Hardware went to the Note. Camera went to the Pixel, display went to the Note, software went to the Pixel, battery went to the Note, intangibles went to the Note. In any great battle, Ali Frazier, there can only be one winner. No matter how hard both people fight, there's no participation trophies in Versus. And despite the Pixel 2 being a badass baller phone, only one winner, and that is the Galaxy Note 8. They did an incredible job with this device. I think everything about it is borderline perfect, but
it's pretty crazy that I just happened to be texting you on my Google Pixel XL 2, and you said that the Note 8 phone was better, so I just kind of had to come out here to argue that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a starting tackle from the LA Chargers, Mr. Joe Barksdale.
Phillip Rivers was only sacked 18 times this season. Sorry, what were you saying?
He's the guy that's protecting Mr. Phillip Rivers. So I'm saying the Note is the winner. And as somebody who's used both phones, we've talked at length about both phones.
So I actually had
Disagree?
the Note, and I was probably one of the most excited people for that phone. I've been waiting on it.
The most excited, I would say.
Excited, like, because I had the Note 7, and you know, we all know the battery things and all that. But in that time, I also, you know, waiting for the Note, I had a Google Pixel XL, and when I got the Note, I really missed the Pixel XL. And what I meant by that was the software features, the user interface, the ease of, notification dismissals. I mean, it's just an easy phone to use. It just works. It's not the sexiest or most extravagant, but at the end of the day, this is the phone that I would want to have every day.
And for the record, before anybody yells at me about why I picked the Note or how much Samsung paid me, I convinced Joe to get the Pixel 2 XL.
Yeah, you did.
I legitimately love both phones.
The week we played the Patriots, yep, you convinced me to get it.
He was just sitting there at a hotel, bored. I was like, go get the Pixel 2 XL. It just came out. You love it.
I limped on over and got it.
I just didn't know that you were going to abandon your first love of the Galaxy Note 8.
I didn't know you were going to be so wrong with your assessment.
Are we going to have to fight again? I thought I taught you listen first. I can't even say it without laughing. Are you physically intimidated by me?
Very.
Do we look the same height sitting down? Because standing up is super funny. I feel like a hobbit. Anyway, man, Joe, thanks for coming. Joe's got a new album coming out.
Yeah, we have an album coming out.
January 25th.
January 25th. It's called Butterflies, Rainbows, and Moonbeams. And I'm sure, you guys will hear music. And hopefully, John will have me back again.
We'll link to where people can
Cool.
Get
where
the
you guys
album
can find me.
or no pre-orders, but when it's out.
No pre-orders, but when it's out, it's out.
Link to it, check out. It's a pretty talented musician.
Thank you,
And
man.
a good friend. Joe, thanks for finally coming on.
Oh, thanks for
I'll
having
take
me.
it easier on you next time.